What was it like working with David Crosby? There's always interesting tales when it comes to David Crosby. I'm John Beaudin from Rock History Music. Marcus Eaton is a great artist that I really appreciate quite a bit. His brand new project is called Invisible Lines, where he features that great hammer-style tapping on guitar, and he's an amazing vocalist. In 2010, he was brought into the David Crosby Band to work on the album Croz and the tour that followed. He also worked on Remember My Name, the documentary on Crosby, which came out last year. But what was it like working with David Crosby?
One heartbeat away, while the wind is blowing strong, you think, where did I go wrong anyway?
I got an email from David Crosby today. She's like, what? Are you serious? She's like, that was my favorite album when I was in college, you know. We met in Santa Monica at this restaurant, and Crosby and I were both early. So I show up and I said, hi, David. I'm Marcus. I'm friends with Normie. He's like, hey, man, what's going on? I said, you know, just here on a little tour. He's like, yeah, I really wish I could see that. And he's like, so what are you listening to? I mean, that was his first question. So what have you been listening to? I was like, oh, I've been listening to this and that. I'm really into the Esperanza Spalding album. He's like, oh, shit. I love her, man. She is the shit, you know. And then we just started going off on all of these musical influences. So we totally hit it off. I mean, totally unexpected.
What is really left to say? If we cannot possess the loving we express, you are closer yet further than anyone. How far can we run?
He's so current and relevant. He'll listen to everything. You know, he's not one of these guys that's like, oh, I've heard it all. And I really admire that. And before we left, he was like, hey, man, take my number. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, yeah, I mean, let's keep in touch. And I was like, all right, you know. So he was coming through Boise in Idaho where I lived. And I said, hey, man, I see that you're coming through Boise. Let's get together. So he had the night off. We got together and had dinner. And he's like, yeah, come up to my room and I want you to play my guitar. He had a McAllister up there. So I pick up his guitar and I was like, oh my God, this is the nicest guitar I've ever played. But he's like, play me something you're working on. And I played him this song called Smile. And he just goes, holy shit, man, I got to call my son. So he calls James. James, you got to get over here, man. I want you to come hear something. So he came from his hotel room and I played him this song, Smile. And anyway, long story short, 3 months later, he was like, hey, man, do you want to play on my album? And I was like, yeah, I definitely want to play on your album. And I didn't even tell anybody because, like, in the music industry, I've had so many things fall through. And I've been like, yeah, dude, we're going to open for blah, 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 you know. And everyone's like, that's great. And then, you know, 2 weeks later, they go, oh, sorry, they got someone else.
Closer yet, look how far we've come. Love should be the sum of every coin we've thrown into the wishing well.
God, it was 10 years ago. So I guess it was Halloween of 2010. It was the first day we worked, and it was at James's house, and they picked me up from the airport in Burbank, and I was like, okay, I'm here now. I can tell people. And then I told my dad, and he was like, what? What are you talking about, man? You know, it was kind of unfathomable, you know. So that we worked on this album for 3 years, and it came out. It's called Croz, and I mean, I got a bunch of stories in between there, but that's how we met. And I'm still, you know, kind of beside myself because that's just, I love how the universe works. I mean, it's just so cool. We do have a lot in common musically. It's kind of crazy, but he's a revolutionary type of songwriter that's always been doing stuff that is progressive, you know. So we totally relate on a musical level, and we're total guitar geeks.
But, you know, I talk to a lot of artists where I ask them about stories like this, you know, where they have to pinch themselves. And I'm not telling the artist anything they don't know, But let me just say it out loud. Obviously, you get in that room because you got the chops. I mean, let's be real, right? It's the work you put. It's the work you put in.
Absolutely. And, Crosby he's always surrounded himself with really great musicians, but it's just nice to be in that group of people.
Expectations high as we're born into the sky. One step closer to the edge. Who is left to trust? Is it yourself or the gust that brings you closer yet further than anyone? How far can we run?
I mean, he's done some things to everybody that's crossed his path that are not cool, and so we've had sort of like some weird stuff between us. I don't know if I really need to put that out there, because I think it's just kind of assumed that everybody that's ever come across his path has had some weird situations with him. It's just a fact, but my brother and he really hit it off, and when we were in the studio, I was like, Crosby, you should be filming this, man. Like, we should be filming this. This is amazing. Because it was clear something really special was going on. It was me and him and his son, James. And there was just a synergy happening that was awesome, And he's like, yeah, we don't have any fucking money to do that, And I said, well, I know somebody who would film it. And he goes, oh, yeah, who? And I said, my brother. He's like, yeah, is he any good? Like, yeah, he's awesome, He said, well, I'd like to meet him. So I brought him up there, and we started talking about just filming while we were in the studio. So he did. He came up and filmed some stuff. And they ended up being these series of like these really beautiful little vignettes that ended up on rollingstone.com. They're great. They're still up on YouTube. I can send you the link. But
please, yes.
Yeah, they're really beautiful little interviews about the album and him talking about how we were working together. And it was just really cool. So my brother and I started talking to Crosby. I was like, you should just why aren't you doing a documentary? And he's like, oh, I've been approached about this like 10 times, and I just don't want to do it unless it's the right person, and blah, blah, blah. So another long story short, my brother started kind of putting, some momentum into this. And I was sort of, the liaison between a few different people, obviously my brother, but then my brother has this producer friend, and she introduced him to Cameron Crowe. And so my brother approached him with this idea and said, hey, I'm working on this Crosby documentary. I've already filmed a number of these things. And he started freaking out. He's like, oh my God, that's my dream. That's my dream doc, So they put this thing together, man, and it got momentum. So they did a full-length documentary that came out last year called Remember My Name. And then it kind of circled back to me doing the score for the film. So I did the score with this guy, Bill Lawrence from Snarky Puppy, incredible pianist, so amazing. I love his music too.
Closer yet, look how far we've come. Love should be the sum of every coin we've thrown into the wishing well. Shadows fall upon the windows of your heart. Winter's building in your soul.
We've actually played together about 6 years, but 3 years we worked on the album, played together for 3 years. My brother came in, did the film, came back and did the score. And, there could be some more writing and stuff. I'd love to write with him some more.
Mm-hmm. Oh. I've always considered him one of the most fascinating people. I mean, I know that he doesn't suffer fools, and I know that he is who he is.
Yeah, he is incredibly fascinating, and what's cool too is that he's deep, and I love hanging with deep people, and we can talk about anything. We can talk about politics. We can talk about birds. He loves birds of prey. So, I would say, yeah, I used to be a falconer. Really? Oh, yeah, I've got a pair of red-shouldered hawks nesting in my yard. Most people they're not even aware of what's around them at all, Yeah. And he's just, man, so cool. And I love his wife. His wife, Jan, is one of my pals, man, she's just amazing, you know. So I'm really grateful for all of those experiences, you know. And I think he's in an interesting point of his life because he's just going out and just going for it, you know. I mean, not right now. He's basically stuck at home like we all are right now.
Seems impossible to tell seasons apart, but know exactly which way the weather's going to go. Closer, look how far we've come, how far that we've run.
Invisible Lines is the brand new album from Marcus Eaton. We have a track-by-track feature on our sister channel, Rock History Book. There'll be links in the description of this video, plus links to Marcus's website as well. I'm John Beaudin. Make sure you comment on our videos, subscribe to our channel, and share our videos. This is Rock History Music.